So today our lesson in Math 2 is being able to go from rational exponents into radical expressions. To start with, we've got a warm-up where we're going to review yesterday's lesson. So go ahead, pause the video, take a few minutes, work through this, and then when you're ready, hit play so you can check your work. Okay, so if you remember yesterday with our properties of exponents, we had 7 properties that we talked about. To be simplified, you want to make it where you see no parentheses, no negative exponents, and you want to make it to where you only see each base appear once. So when I look at my bases, 4 is a base, x is a base, and y is a base. And I want to make it to where, first of all, simplify the numerical value. Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it becomes a different base. But I want to make it where I see the x only appear once and the y only to appear once. So it's hard to know which property to start with, but a lot of times I just go with what makes sense. So whenever we're simplifying, we're not allowed to have parentheses. And I always like to start by getting rid of my parentheses. So if you remember, yesterday we talked about how we're going to distribute the exponent to everything, including the 4, inside the parentheses, multiplying exponents when necessary. So this becomes 4 to the negative 1/2. X to the 4 times negative 1/2 is negative 2. And then y, so negative 2 times a negative 1/2 is positive 1. Over, okay, got to distribute here. So this becomes x to the negative 5/2. And then y to the negative 3/2. Every time ask yourself, is this simplified? Well, no, it's not. I see x's, I see x top and bottom, and I see negative exponents. I see the y on the top of the bottom. So now we got to get them together. Okay, so the other thing that stands out is I have a division bar. And if you remember, to get rid of division, the rule is subtract your exponents. So I'm going to set it up. So 4 to the negative 1/2, and in just a minute I'll simplify that. Then x to the negative 2 minus negative 5/2. And then y to the 1 minus negative 3/2. Okay, so at this point, use your calculator if you need to. I'm going to come back to the 4 to the negative 1/2 in just a second. And my x is now going to become x to the 1/2.
Good afternoon, staff. Just wanted to let you know that you can go to the cafeteria to pick up your lunches at this time. Thank you very much.
And my y is going to be y to the positive 5/2. Okay? So notice by completing this step that the negative exponents, when it comes to the x and the y, pretty much took care of itself. But we still have this 4 to the negative 1/2 that we've got to take care of. Now you can go about this one or two ways. You can move it to lose it, or take a second and type that into your calculator and see what exactly it's going to spit out. So 4 raised to the negative 1/2. And so when you do that, you notice that 4 to the negative 1/2 is the same thing as 1/2. So x to the 1/2 on top, y to the 5/2 on the bottom, and since it's a 1/2, I'm going to leave that 2 on the bottom. Okay, so today what we're going to wind up learning is why 4 to the negative 1/2 has the same value of 2. So before you begin watching this lesson, what I want you to do is take your calculator, and it says use your calculator to find the numerical answer to the following problems. So type all of these into your calculator and then find the numerical value that goes along with it. Okay, and then go ahead and watch part 2 of the lesson for today.